God, what is this shit on my microphone? Guys, you know what's crazy? In the 90s, the cereal companies were nice enough to give us full versions of Doom with our breakfast. And all we get nowadays is some QR code for a sweepstakes that's impossible to win. So if you don't remember, in the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of cereal companies were putting full PC games in their boxes during like the CD-ROM boom era. And these things used to be everywhere. I mean, I think there was around 50 or 60 games here in North America. The precedent to this, I'd say, was like in the 70s when these companies were putting flexi discs on the backs of their boxes. If you don't know what flexi discs are, they're essentially just like paper thin vinyl records. And those are popular like from the 1960s to the 1980s or so. Usually there were magazine inserts. You'd cut them out and you punch out the hole in the middle and then you'd put it on a turntable and it would play music like a regular vinyl. Except it sounds kind of ass because the grooves are so shallow on it and it's really prone to like surface noise. But for a free novelty item with your breakfast, it ain't half bad. And it was probably pretty mind-blowing if you were a kid back then. But as the 90s went on and CD-ROM started to get more popular, eventually these companies switched from floppy disks to full-on video games. The first one, and one of the most famous ones, was Chex Quest in 1996. It was literally a full reskinned version of Doom included with boxes of Chex. So in order to pull this off, unlike the really small budget they had, the developer Digital Cafe licensed the identical programming code used for Doom, and they just swapped out all the blood and violence and hellscapes for like Chex stuff. So yeah, it's not like some knockoff Doom. It is just Doom under the hood. Same controls, same level progression. It's all pretty much the same except with new level layouts and, you know, Chex shit everywhere. And make no mistake, they absolutely bent over backwards to rid this game of any kind of violence. No blood, no hellscapes, no nothing. It ain't half bad a game either. Like I said, it's just Doom, so you can't really go wrong. But still, like for a free breakfast item, it was peak. It was a smash hit too. Sales for Chex like doubled essentially, and a lot more cereal box games to follow. A good chunk of them weren't just cheap minigames either. Some of these boxes had actual bangers in them, like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Age of Empires. Yeah, those were full like $40 games at the time in cereal boxes. A lot of these games were also of the board game variety, like Sorry, The Game of Life, Yahtzee, etc. The games like Roller Coaster Tycoon came in the last wave of cereal boxes, but by 2006 the popularity of CD-ROMs were, for lack of better words, going straight down the shitter. And these boxes with games in them were also starting to get like really expensive to make. Kids were moving to internet flash games and pressing millions of CD-ROMs was getting way too expensive for cereal companies. On top of that, a massive health crackdown in 2006 forced brands to stop using free toys to bait kids into buying sugary cereal, so they stopped doing them. And it's unfortunate that they did because these things were pretty badass. But luckily, if you want to play any of these games today, they aren't really expensive online. The most that some of these games will run you is like 40 bucks, but most of them are like in the $10-15 range, so they're pretty obtainable. Chex Quest also has a remaster that's completely free on Switch and PC. That kicks ass. It's sad though, because we will probably never have anything like these ever again. The stuff they have in modern cereal boxes is just not it. Most of the time it's just QR codes for like a Nintendo Switch sweepstakes, which I'm not convinced anybody wins those things. They've got to be some elaborate prank. I've never heard anyone winning those. Well guys, did any of you have experiences with cereal box games? If you did, tell me about it. And if any of you have ever won a sweepstakes, I would love to hear it.